Hey, welcome back to the channel. This is the most disturbing videos on the internet today. Let's dive in.
Under the waves is where we belong.
They have been desensitizing us since we were born. And I'll give you some examples. Let's start with the big one. Let's start with words we hear all the time and never even think about. Let's start with the word entertainment. To entertain. What does that mean? To bind or hold. To bind or hold what? An audience's attention. Okay, now let's take the word Hollywood. Where does that come from? Well, Hollywood comes from the holly tree. And the ancient Druids, back in the day, used to take the holly tree, make wands to weave spells, cast spells, or channel spells. What do we have in our houses? TVs. But if you stop and you say the word tell-a-vision, television. And when you turn on that television, what do you get? What's the first thing that pops up? A list of channels. And when you turn on those channels, what's on those channels? Programming. They are programming you. They've been programming your whole life. You don't even know it. They do it with your music. They do it with your TV. They do it with your movies. They do it with your games. They have been programming us and programming you since you were little, and you don't even know it because you don't even question it. They have been desensitizing us since we were born.
For entertainment purposes only. Now back to your regular scheduled programming.
I've got 3 flashlights here, a blue one, a green one, and a red one. And as you can see, when their beams all combine, you get white light. And if you take a piece of paper with a slit in it, and you block those beams, you can decompose that white light back into its constituent parts, red, green, and blue. Now this is something really cool. If you take something that casts a shadow, it's actually going to cast 3, a cyan, a magenta, and a yellow shadow. And if I allow each of those shadows to pass over the slit, you're going to see that they block out only their complementary color. I've got 3 flashlights here, a blue one, a green one, and a red one.
This is absolutely extraordinary. It's almost like there was no shadow. The shadow was a light, but a different color. That was fascinating. I never seen shadow produce a color. Look at that. It's like not a shadow, it's a light shadow. That is fascinating. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. What do you guys think about this? I almost feel like we're unlocking something by watching this. Like, maybe that's what it looks like up in heaven. No shadows.
One plant that never fails to impress, obviously, is our Gunnera plantation. Gunnera cross cryptica, as it's more recently been renamed, is a cross between Gunnera manicarta and tinctoria. We're allowed to keep it growing in this space because it's managed and controlled. Obviously, if you were to plant it in the wider environment where it could escape, then that would be more of an issue. But it's very much sort of centered in the middle of the garden at Treba.
Those bumps on it, though, would have me a little bit worried about grabbing onto it, but I guess that's probably just the nature of the plant. But you gotta admit, this is something you would see off Jumanji.
Doesn't the narrative say that when they had the Columbia exhibition in 1893 in Chicago, it was Tesla and other people are the ones who ran all the wires, illuminated it?
Yeah, apparently.
That's one of the funniest ones to me, because I'm like thinking, this technology is obviously brand new at this point. And so they built all these buildings for this World Fair, the biggest buildings in the whole world. And not only that, they lit them all up. And this is a time before you would have been able to mass produce light bulbs. So, I mean, I don't even know how many light bulbs I don't know how much wire it would have taken to wire all those buildings. I mean, that would have been a feat of ingenuity and all the things.
They definitely didn't use wires. It was some type of wireless technology for sure.
To be able to to do that in such a short period of time. And then it's like dead men tell no tale. So like, what did Tesla ever say about that?
Yeah. Well, actually, he never said anything about it at all, is the answer to that.
That makes sense to me because I haven't ever heard what he said about that. You'd think there would have been books written about that. Doesn't the narrative say that when
100% they would have been writing books about how they did that. I think it was wireless technology. They were conducting ether through the buildings, or they had some type of wireless generator Tesla coil nearby powering these structures. What do you think? Drop it in the comments below.
I was just seen with these robot dogs in Los Angeles that has a camera on its back for facial recognition software. Now we all know the potential that these things can do, from flamethrowers to a bunch of other things, but that right there on the front of the dog might be a crowd disperse weapon, loaded with tear gas and a bunch of other things to make crowds disperse. Now the facial recognition software is supposed to help identify people that they're looking for and also people that are in the system.
Pretty soon they're going to be saying, identify yourself, human. Identify yourself, human, in 3, 2, 1.
Are there 300 years of missing history? Why does 600 to 900 AD have no records? Because time was fake to hide Tartaria. Have you ever heard of phantom time hypothesis? It's about the elites adding centuries to history. Why do 8th century eclipse records mismatch modern astronomy? Because this guy, he invented 297 years in the 1500s. And some believe it was to hide Tartaria's collapse. The Dark Ages don't add up. Viking ships used 700s era navigation tools, while the ancient Roman concrete matches 1820s recipes. The Shroud of Turin, dated to 1350, is exactly when the timelines were allegedly altered. So consider this: architectural relics bearing Roman symbols found in countries with no history of Roman conquest. Eastern European charters cite reigns of leaders matching known historical records. In China, historic dynasties have overlapping timelines suggesting fabricated events. So what do you think? Are there 300 years of
That's a great idea, cross-referencing Chinese dynasties. I wonder what similarities pop up.
There is something crazy about these pillars. Why did they have to create these pillars using rotating mechanisms? If they're just used for structural support, why go through the pain of turning them in a lathe machine? Think about it. Even today, putting these giant stone blocks into lathe machines and turning them would be a difficult project. Why did ancient builders go through the process? For structural strength? No. Even for beauty, they could have easily carved on these pillars and made them beautiful. They don't have to turn them in a lathe. Why did they do this? Do you remember how we see sound as waves? Like how they go up and down when we speak? This is only a 2D visualization. If we create them in 3 dimensions, they look very similar to these pillars. This is how a 3D sound wave looks. Just like the lathe-turned pillars with all these grooves. Different. No 2 pillars are identical in this hall. Is it possible that each pillar represents a particular sound? There is something crazy about these pillars.
100%, Perrine. I'm with you 100%. There was a sound frequency that made these. But why and how is the question.
And suddenly see how the human voice has potential to create infinitely. That with our voice, we have the potential to create everything and anything we can imagine. Everything in creation spins and vibrates. Everything has its own prime resonance frequency. Everything. Sound is the source of all creation. Sound and resonance is responsible for everything. It is the breath of the Creator, the prime resonance frequency, and the source code for everything in creation, including our DNA. check out Dan Winter's work on that as well, how cymatics and sound helps to form and shape our DNA and the structure of our DNA based on the cymatics. And that word cymatics, it comes from Hans Jenny in the 50s and 60s, the brilliant work that he did and showed us how sound and resonance is responsible for everything in creation. This is the most basic fundamental demonstration how sound and resonance manifests into physical form. And I just cannot get enough of it. I can watch it millions of times. Every frequency has its own specific shape, a prime resonance frequency. Are you only looking at a two-dimensional representation of a three-dimensional effect? And then Eric Larson is the guy that created the cymoscope, and this is when you can suddenly see how the human voice has potential to create infinitely. With our voice, we have the potential to create everything and anything we can imagine.
I'm just trying to figure out how they did Kailasa Temple and possibly those pillars my boy Perrine was just talking about. If you thought I didn't have an excellent specimen for you today, think again. This is a Spessartine and Microclean from Balistan, Pakistan. That was a mouthful. At first glance, I would say they're rubies. But I think rubies might be a little bit brighter than that. I'm not sure. But the octahedrals popping off this scoop of ice cream definitely is a stunning piece. If I had to name this piece, I would call it cherry ice cream. This green, I am absolutely in love with. This Halo Spartan green. Dark ivory. What is the color on this? The green quartz and a valite, a perfect combination with this great formation. Figure out what type of green that is. I'm just in love with that deep forest green. If I had to name this piece, I would call it Dark Kryptonite.
Hey Rob, what's this rock?
This is the famous Calendar Gold. When I first started going to Tucson, this was on the cover of Steve Smale's Mineral Calendars, which he would give as a gift to people. That was back in the day when it was hard to get great digital photos, well, because they didn't exist, and Steve was doing photography using the old chemical method in his basement, which made this famous at the time. It is a bright and sparkly California classic.
Hey Rob, what's this rock?
This is...
That is crystallized gold. How crazy is that?
Just at the top, but on the way, I'm noticing that this is definitely carved, like a carved bath. I think this is a water collection. The water would drip off the rock and hopefully filter through the rock, actually. And this could, I mean, doesn't look it, but could be drinkable. Looks like the same here. That's definitely what this is, a carved out pool to be able to collect rainwater and fresh water to drink. You can even see it was obviously part of a structure that has since eroded away. Anyway, let's continue up to the top. Right away, we got some old structures here. Maybe an old defensive tower. Too close to the cliff though, I reckon that's why it's gone. Maybe there was a wall here that is now crumbled away. Oh, we're just below the ruin now. How on earth did people get up here before those ladders were installed? Those are big metal ladders. They will not match the timeline of these ruins. Wow, we have made it. Oh, we're on the summit. Wow. Look at that. Look at that view. That is insane. This is insane. Oh, and look here. I think this is some more evidence that there was a castle. This would have been built so in case of a siege they could store fresh water from rain here. Look at this. Oh my goodness. Alright, let's go check out the ruins. Almost at the top.
How absolutely crazy was that? The pool was still working. Wow, I believe this is a natural pool. How crazy is that? I wonder how they keep it looking so crystal clear. The Grand Canyon cover-up. This should be interesting.
In the early 1900s, the Grand Canyon was still the Wild West. Before it became a national park, before it was fenced off and sanitized for tourism, it was open ground, an untamed landscape of cliffs, caves, and uncharted territory. And in 1908, just as President Theodore Roosevelt prepared to lock it down forever, one last explorer slipped through the gates. His name was G.E. Kincaid. Officially, he was working a mineral survey. Unofficially, he was chasing legends. Kincaid took a small boat down the Colorado River. About 40 miles upriver from El Tovar Crystal Canyon, he saw something strange. Discoloration in the sediment, far above the waterline. He tied off his boat, climbed the canyon wall, and found steps. Not natural erosion, not a game trail. These were carved, ancient, and winding up into the stone like a forgotten staircase to somewhere no one was meant to find again. At the top, hidden beneath desert brush, was the mouth of a cavern. The entrance, too, was clearly man-made. Inside, Kincaid found nothing that made sense, at least not if you believe the standard history of North America. The walls were covered in strange symbols, hieroglyphs, not Hopi, not Mayan, not anything local. They looked Egyptian, but not quite. He went deeper. Chambers opened up, dozens of them, hundreds. Rooms laid out like a complex, like an ancient city, buried within the rock. There were mummies, statues, tools and weapons forged from copper and other metals, some still unknown today. He found a crypt filled with perfectly arranged skeletal remains, each resting on carved shelves, accompanied by urns and broken swords. All the mummies were male. Elsewhere, there were storage rooms, granaries still holding seeds, pottery lined neatly on stone shelves. There were signs of metallurgy, slag and mat from a smelting operation, workbenches still littered with charcoal. These people had mastered the art of copper hardening. They weren't primitives, they were engineers. And then there was the statue, a massive figure carved from black stone, seated cross-legged in the lotus position, a flower in each hand. Not Egyptian, not Native American. Something else, something foreign, something sacred. Kincaid estimated the complex could have housed 50,000 people. He sent artifacts and documentation to the Smithsonian. In the early 1900s,
there's so many different theories surrounding the Grand Canyon. I even heard one that it was a giant quarry and it was actually dug up. It would explain what material a lot of these ancient buildings were made up around this area.
The context of this image is that a group of cave explorers stumbled upon this ancient Inca. Apparently the Inca was defending his territory in the cave by not letting them pass. But the cave explorers changed their minds and plans when they noticed that everything the Inca was wearing was made out of gold. In a very human response, the cave explorers knocked down the Inca, hauled it down, and ran at night, taking everything the Inca was wearing and leaving the Inca lying on its back, slowly losing its light.
He robbed him of his gold? Oh my goodness. But how crazy is this? It almost resembles like an alien gray wearing some type of Aztec armor. Was there a race of ant people 12,000 years ago? I mean, this does look like some type of ant people type structure. Very interesting. What's going on with the holes? They resemble ant mounds. How crazy is this ant people theory, honestly? Now, I've heard of reptilians, but ant people? If you're enjoying this video, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button because I do these videos every single day and I'd love to see you around here. So let's get straight back into the action.
Como?
Alienígena.
Alienígena? O que é?
Essa palavra você nunca ouviu falar? Alienígena.
Some people visited a native tribe in Brazil called the Hunikuin and showed them images of a grey alien. And guess what? These natives knew exactly what this creature was. They called it the Man Kunawabu. According to the natives, these beings were ant people who lived inside the earth. They claimed to have known about the existence of these creatures for thousands of years. To them, these beings are not aliens, but creatures that live on Earth underground. They described these beings as having a unique connection to the Earth, living in vast underground networks. Their stories paint a picture of a hidden world beneath our feet, one that modern science is yet to explore fully. This information is coming from indigenous people who were completely secluded from the modern world, undiluted by contemporary influences. If this is true, then we should definitely be concerned. But how do we confirm its authenticity? Perhaps it's time to send Julius on another one of those trips.
Fica mexendo com ela demais, ela leva o espírito da pessoa para debaixo da terra.
Não tem. For entertainment purposes only, do your own research on everything.
Listing all the reported extraterrestrials. Part 11. The Ant People. Could an ancient legend point to an alien species? Meet the mysterious Ant People. The Ant People come from Hopi Native American legends, describing beings who helped their ancestors survive during times of catastrophe. These creatures were said to live underground, sharing food, shelter, and knowledge to rebuild civilization. Some theorists connect these stories to extraterrestrial visitors aiding humanity in ancient times. Were they aliens or just mythological figures? Ancient allies or symbolic stories? In part 12, we'll dive into the enigmatic tall whites. Don't miss it.
So these ant people's a thing, multiple people are talking about them. Deep underground. Could they be in Agartha? They did talk about praying mantis type beings inside Agartha. Could this be a species that dwell inside there?
10 alien races that live in secret beneath the earth. Number 6, the Hollow Ones. The Hollow Ones are pale humanoids said to inhabit the deepest cave systems on Earth. They look like us, but they never came from the surface. Inside Earth's deepest unexplored cave systems, far below where light can reach, explorers have reported pale, silent figures watching from the dark. They're called the Hollow Ones. Tall, slender, white, almost translucent skin. No hair, eyes large and silver gray. Built for total darkness. They don't speak. They don't run. They observe. Cave divers who've seen them say the same thing. They weren't surprised to see us, as if they've been waiting. Some claim their tunnels connect continents. Others say they've never once come to the surface. Whatever they are, they're not lost tribes. They're something else. Comment hollow if you believe there are eyes watching from below.
Squidward, is that you?
10 alien races that live in secret beneath the earth. Number 4. The Morlocks. They live so deep, even the machines won't follow. Far below modern tunnels and military zones, in depths older than anything human-built. Explorers whisper about a race we pretend never existed. The Morlocks. Pale gray flesh, twisted spines, luminous eyes that reflect no light, long limbs built for crawling, and movements that don't match their size. They don't speak. They don't attack. They wait. Some believe they were the first underground species, a branch of pre-human beings forced into hiding during a global reset. Others say they were left behind for a reason. No footage has ever been released, but military blueprints always show sealed levels, far below what's labeled. Comment Morlock if you believe something still moves beneath the last locked doors.
You know what they remind me of? From The Time Machine. You guys remember that movie, The Time Machine? Those had to be the same creatures. If you made it this far, the code word today is Monday Mystery. Go ahead and drop Monday Mystery in the comments below. That lets me know you're a real one. You made it all the way through the video and you're not a bot. You really rock with me. And I just want to say thank you. Your support means the world to me. This was the most disturbing videos on the internet today. See you tomorrow.